The first thing I remember is my sister standing in the corner of our sitting room with tears running down her face, but no sound coming out of her mouth. My mother was shouting, asking her to talk, asking her what she did wrong, asking her why she was acting like she wanted to drive everybody mad. But Ada just stood there shaking like somebody that saw something terrible. That was the moment I knew something big was happening in our house, something we did not understand yet. I held my school bag tight and watched her because I had never seen her eyes look like that before, like she wanted to scream, but something heavy was pressing her throat shut. Before all this started, Ada was the kind of girl that talked fast and loud. She talked when she was brushing her teeth, when she was eating, even when she was sleeping. She used to disturb everybody in the house with her stories. So the day she suddenly kept quiet, nobody believed it first. In the morning, when we woke up, she answered me when I greeted her. She smiled small. Everything looked normal. It was when we sat down to eat that things changed. My mother asked her to pass the salt, and Ada just stared. My mother asked again, louder this time. Ada still did not talk. She did not even move her hand. My mother thought she was playing, so she tapped her head with her fingers. Ada jumped like somebody poured hot water on her body. My mother became angry. She told Ada she should stop acting like something was wrong with her. She told her she was not in the mood for rubbish, but Ada still refused to talk. My mother called her name again, this time banging the table. Ada shook her head, tears already gathering in her eyes. My mother dragged her up and asked her if she wanted to make the whole house suffer. Ada cried, but the strange part was that the cry made no sound. Her chest moved, her face squeezed, tears fell out, but nothing came out of her mouth. That night, everybody in the house talked about it. My stepfather said Ada was looking for attention. My mother said maybe she was copying one girl in school. My stepsister said Ada wanted to spoil her mother's mood. Only me kept quiet because I saw something the others did not see. When my stepfather walked past Ada, she shifted away from him very fast, like she was trying to run without moving. Her eyes followed him everywhere he went. The next morning, something strange happened. When we got to school, Ada greeted her friend happily. She talked to the security man. She even laughed when her teacher told her good morning. I watched her mouth move freely, like nothing was wrong. But the moment we reached the gate of our compound after school, she became quiet again. Her shoulders dropped, her smile disappeared. It was like she carried two different voices, one for outside and one for inside the house. That was the day everything scattered for me. That was the day I stopped thinking Ada was playing. Something was wrong and I could feel it in my chest like a stone was sitting there. I did not know what it was yet, but I knew our house was holding a secret and my sister was the one carrying it. From that day, Ada's silence followed us everywhere inside the house. It was like a shadow walking beside her. Every time she wanted to speak, her lips would move a little. Then she would press them together fast, like she was afraid her words would run out before she could catch them. I started watching her more closely, because the thing troubling her was bigger than the quietness. It was in the way she walked slowly inside the compound, the way she avoided dark corners, the way she always held her school bag tight to her chest, like she was protecting something. Our mother did not understand any of this. Every evening, she came home tired from the market, smelling of smoke and pepper. She would drop her wrapper on the chair and ask Ada how school went. When Ada kept quiet, my mother's face would tighten. She would ask her again and again until her voice rose like somebody beating a drum. Sometimes she begged her to talk. Sometimes she threatened her. Sometimes she prayed over her. Nothing worked. Ada's silence inside the house did not break. What made everything more confusing was how normal Ada acted in school. Her teacher even stopped my mother one afternoon to say Ada answered questions in class with confidence. The woman said Ada was one of the smartest children she had. My mother looked confused and embarrassed. She told the teacher that at home, Ada did not say one single word. The teacher laughed, thinking it was a joke. My mother did not laugh. I saw the worry sitting on her face like sweat. I also began to notice something else. Ada never wanted to stay inside the house alone with our stepfather. Whenever he called her name, she would freeze. Whenever he asked her to bring something from the room, she would pretend she did not hear. If she had to go inside, she always made sure I followed her. Sometimes she held my hand so tight it hurt. When I asked her what was wrong, she shook her head quickly, her eyes wide like someone begging me not to ask again. One Saturday afternoon, things became worse. My mother went to the market early, and my stepfather stayed at home, saying he was feeling small fever. Ada and I were sweeping the sitting room when he came out of his room. The moment she heard his door creak, her broom fell from her hand. Her whole body started shaking. She grabbed my shirt and hid behind me. He asked her why she dropped the broom, but she did not answer. He stepped closer. She stepped back. It was like she was trying to make her body disappear. I knew something was wrong, something deep, something heavy, something she was afraid to say. That night, after everybody slept, I woke up and saw Ada sitting in the corner of our room, hugging her knees, staring at the door, as if she expected someone to open it quietly. I sat beside her and asked her again what was happening. She placed her hand on her throat. Tears filled her eyes. She tried to talk, but nothing came out. I did not sleep again that night. I kept thinking, turning, wondering, listening to every sound in the house. Ada's fear had become my own, like we were both carrying the same load, but she was carrying the heavier part. I promised myself silently that I would find out what was happening, even if it meant following her everywhere. I did not know how, but I knew the truth was waiting somewhere, and I had to be the one to catch it.
The next week, I made a plan. I did not tell anybody, not even Ada. I decided that if she would not talk, then I had to watch her closely until the truth showed itself. I started paying attention to small things she did, the way she looked at doors, the way she jumped at small sounds, the way her silence grew heavier whenever our stepfather was around. I kept all these things inside me like stones in my pocket. One Wednesday afternoon after school, the truth started to show itself. Normally, when we close from school, Ada and I walk home together. She used to skip and talk about everything she saw on the road, but now she just walked quietly beside me. That day, something was different. When we reached the junction close to our street, Ada slowed down. She looked at me, then looked at the road leading home. Her feet stopped moving. She stood there like someone facing a place she feared more than anything. I pretended I did not notice. I told her I wanted to buy puff-puff from the woman by the corner, and I walked away a little. I watched her from the side of my eye. Ada looked around to make sure nobody was watching her. Then she turned away from our street and started walking in the opposite direction. My heart began to beat fast. I knew immediately something was happening, something she did not want anybody to know. I followed her quietly. She did not walk fast. She walked like someone counting her steps, as if she was delaying going home. She passed the tailor's shop, the small church with the broken speaker, and the kiosk where we used to buy biscuits when we were younger. She stopped there. I hid behind a wall and peeped at her. Ada looked around again, checking both sides like a thief. Then she bent near the back of the kiosk. There was a small stack of crates there, the same place she used to hide sweets many years ago. She opened her school bag and pulled out her small notebook. I watched her wipe her eyes before she started writing something. Her hand was shaking. She wrote slowly, like each word was heavy. When she was done, she tore out the page and folded it small. She slipped it under one of the crates, then zipped her bag and started walking back toward home. When she left, I waited for a few seconds so she would not see me. Then I rushed to the crates. I lifted the top one, and there it was, a small folded paper hiding like a scared child. My hand shook as I picked it. I opened it. The words hit me in the chest so hard I almost dropped the paper. Ada wrote that she was afraid to talk at home because someone in the house warned her never to make noise. She wrote that if she talked, he said he would deal with her. She said he always came into our room when our mother was not around. She wrote she did not want to sleep in the dark anymore. She wrote she was scared of him. She wrote that she did not know how to tell anybody because he said if she talked, our family would break. I read the name she wrote at the bottom of the paper and my whole body became hot. It was our stepfather. I stood there with the paper in my shaking hand and the world around me felt like it stopped moving. Cars passed, people walked by, Children laughed on the street, but I did not hear anything. All I could see was Ada's handwriting, telling me the things she could not say with her mouth. That was the moment everything changed inside me. I knew the truth now, and I knew I had to protect her. I folded the paper and hid it inside my pocket like a secret weapon. My legs felt weak as I walked home, but my mind was strong. I had seen the truth with my own eyes, and nothing was going to make me pretend anymore. When I got home with the paper in my pocket, my whole body felt like I was carrying fire. Ada was sitting on the chair, hugging her school bag the same way she always did. Our stepfather was in the sitting room, watching TV. The moment he saw us enter, Ada's body became stiff like dry wood. She stood behind me, hiding small, pretending to arrange her shoes, but I could see her hands shaking. He asked us why we were late. I opened my mouth to answer, but my voice did not come out well. I kept remembering the words Ada wrote, the fear she put on that paper. I felt like my chest was too small to hold everything. He stared at us for a long time, his eyes stopping on Ada too much. That made me angry, but I looked away so he would not notice. My mother came back later from the market. She was tired as usual, but when she saw Ada looking more silent than normal, she sighed and shook her head. She asked her to talk. Ada did not answer. She begged her. Ada kept quiet. She prayed over her. Nothing changed. My mother sat down in frustration, saying she did not know what to do again. I watched her face, and I knew she had no idea what was happening under our own roof. That night, we ate quietly. Our stepfather kept looking at Ada as if he was waiting for her to do something wrong. Every time he looked at her, Ada bent her head. I wanted to stand up and shout at him, tell him I knew everything, tell him to stay away from my sister. But I knew that would make things worse. I had to think smart. I had to choose the right time. When it was time to sleep, Ada refused to go into our room. She said nothing, but she held my hand tight and stood close to me. My mother asked her what the problem was. Ada still did not talk. Our mother became angry and said she would lock the sitting room so Ada should go inside her room and sleep like a normal child. I had no choice. I took Ada's hand and led her inside. When we reached our room, she refused to enter first. She pushed me in front and followed behind me like she was entering a forest. She did not lie on her bed. She sat in the corner, her knees to her chest, looking at the door again. I sat beside her. I did not even ask her anything this time. I just sat there quietly. She held my arm and laid her head on my shoulder. I could feel her breathing fast. I could feel her fear like it was entering my own body. After some time, she slept off. I watched her face and wondered what she had been going through alone. The thought made my heart hot. The house became quiet, too quiet. I could hear the hum of the fridge, the ticking of the wall clock, and my own heartbeat. I did not sleep. I could not. I kept remembering the paper in my pocket. The words felt like they were burning me. Around midnight, I heard slow footsteps in the corridor. My heart jumped. I sat up quickly. The footsteps came closer and closer to our room. Ada was still sleeping, but her body moved like she felt something. The footsteps stopped right outside our room. My whole body became cold. The door handle moved a little like someone was testing it. I stood up slowly and walked to the door. My hands were shaking. I pressed my ear to it. I could hear breathing on the other side, heavy breathing. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the footsteps turned back and walked away softly. I stood there, breathing hard, sweat on my neck. That was the moment I knew I could not wait any longer. If I did not act soon, something terrible would happen to Ada again. I sat on the floor beside her and stayed awake the whole night, watching the door, holding the truth in my pocket, waiting for morning to come so I could do what needed to be done. I knew the next day was going to change everything in our family. I was scared, but I was ready.
Morning finally came, slow and heavy. Ada was still asleep when the sun touched her face. She looked peaceful for the first time in days, but I knew it was only because she was too tired to stay awake. I stood up quietly, washed my face, and changed my clothes. My heart was beating fast but steady. I knew what I needed to do. I could not leave her here one more day with someone who walked around at night like a shadow looking for her. I checked the paper again, the one she hid behind the kiosk. I read the words one more time, letting the anger and courage fill me. Then I folded it and put it back in my pocket.
I tapped Ada gently. When she opened her eyes, she looked around quickly, like someone checking if the night was still following her. Then she relaxed when she saw me. I told her we should get ready for school. She nodded and picked her bag. Our stepfather was sitting in the sitting room drinking tea. The moment Ada saw him, her whole body changed. She hid behind me. He asked my mother why Ada was acting like that again. My mother shook her head and said she was tired of everything. She told him she was going to the market early and left the house. He watched us as we wore our shoes. His eyes stayed on Ada too long. I moved a little to block his view. He frowned at me. Ada tightened her grip on my shirt. When we stepped outside, I felt like I could breathe again. Ada walked quietly beside me, her bag pressed to her chest as usual. But I did not take the road to school. I held her hand and started walking toward the market. She looked confused but followed without asking questions. We found our mother arranging tomatoes at her store. She looked surprised to see us. She asked why we were not in school. I did not answer. I brought out the folded paper from my pocket and placed it in her hand. I did not say anything because I did not trust my voice to stay steady. She looked at me, then at Ada, then opened the paper slowly. Her eyes moved across the words once, twice. Then her hand began to shake. Her mouth opened small, but no sound came out. She held the paper so tight it almost tore. She looked at Ada, looked at me, then looked back at the paper again. Her breathing became fast. She dropped the tomatoes she was holding. One rolled on the floor. She told us to follow her. No shouting, no crying. Just a strong voice that sounded like someone who had just woken up from a long sleep. She packed her things fast and locked her store. Then she took us straight to her sister's house. She told her sister what she read. Her sister cried. She called her husband. He called 2 police officers he knew. My mother went home with them that evening, but she did not allow us to follow. She told us to stay with her sister. I held Ada's hand and watched my mother leave with fire in her eyes. I had never seen her look that way before. It made me feel safe for a time in a long while. When she came back later, she sat down and hugged both of us tight. She did not talk much. She just said we were not going back to that house again. Ada pressed her face into her stomach and started crying. Real crying with sound for the first time in many days. My mother cried too. I felt tears on my face, but I did not wipe them. Days passed. Ada's voice started coming back slowly. At first, she talked only small. Then she talked a bit more. Then one afternoon, while we were eating, she called my name with a clear voice. I looked at her and smiled so much my cheeks hurt. Our life had changed, but it changed in a way that brought light back into all of us. Ada was safe, my mother was awake, and the truth that used to hide in shadows was now standing outside in the open, unable to hurt us again. That was the day I knew silence can be louder than shouting. And it was the day I learned that even a quiet child can carry a truth strong enough to break a whole house and build a new one.